what I'm dying to ask Dad is, did he just tell Judge Travers about the dog being here? Dad won't mention it, so I don't ask. Maybe I don't want to know, I tell myself. And then, just as Ma's dishing up some peach cobbler that we're going to eat with hot milk, I hear a sound outside that makes my bones feel like icicles inside me. Shilo hears it too, and I know right away it's what I think it is because Shilo sticks his tail between his legs, puts his belly low to the floor, and climbs back into his box. Ma and Dad look at Shilo, then they look at each other. Then there's a slam of a truck door outside, footsteps on the ground, footsteps on the porch, and rap, rap, rap at the back door. Everyone stops eating, like we was all frozen to death in our chairs. Dad gets up and turns on the porch light, and there he is, Judge Travers, looking as mean and nasty as I ever seen him look. He don't even ask, can he come in? He just opens the screen and steps inside. Ray Pearson, Ray Preston, he says, somebody told me you got my dog. Dad's looking serious. He nods and points towards the box by the stove. Over there, Judd. But he's hurt, and we've been taking care of him for you. Judge stares at Shilo and then at Dad. Well, I'll be danged, he says, almost softly. Somebody knows my dog is missing, takes him in, and don't even have the decency to tell me? We were going to tell you, Dad says, and he looks straight at Judge. Nobody wants to hear his dog's been hurt, though, and we wanted to make sure he was going to pull through. Then he turns to me. Marty, he says, you tell Mr. Travers how his dog come to be here. He knows I don't. He knows I'd rather swim off a river full of crocodiles than face Judge Travers. But it's my story to tell, not Dad's, and he's always did make us face up to what we've done. Your dog come over here twice because you've been mistreating it, I said, and my voice don't sound near as strict as Dad's. Sort of quavery. I clear my throat and go on. So second time I come over, I built in a pen in the woods, and Dad didn't know it. And that German Shepherd of Baker's got in and fought Shilo. Fought who? The Beagle, Shilo? That's what I've been calling him. And Shilo got hurt bad. It was my fault for not making the fence higher. We took him to Doc Murphy, and he patched him up. Judge Travers is still staring around the room like he'd never saw the likes of us before. Finally, he let out a breath through his teeth and slowly shakes his head. And I gotta find out all this from Doc Murphy. I couldn't believe Doc would go and tell him. Somebody goes to Doc the other day and sees a beagle lying out on his back porch. Tells me about it later. Says he thinks maybe that dog's mine. So I ride over to Doc's this evening and he tells me it was you who brought him in. Judd walks across the kitchen, and with the thud of each footstep, Shilo huddles down further and further into the box, like maybe he can make himself disappear. His whole body is shaking. Ma sees it. I know because she watches for a minute, then she turns her face away quickly. Judge stares down at Shilo, at his bandage and the shaved place where he's all stitched up, the rip on his ear. Look what you've done to my dog, he yells at me, eyes big and angry. I swallow. Nothing I can say to that. Travers squats down by the box. He puts out his hand, and Shilo leans away like he's going to be hit. If Judd don't he's the way he's been treating him, I don't know what Travers, but Judd sang, I never mistreated my dogs. This one was shy when I got him. That's all. I sure never caused him an injury like this one. Would never have happened if you brought him back like I told you. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, Judge putting his hand on Shiloh's head, rough like, sort of patting him, and you can't tell he ain't got much practice being kind. Still, hard to prove Shilo was mistreated before he got to Judge. How do you go about proving something like that? It was wrong of Marty to pen up your dog, Judd, and we've already talked about that. Dad says. He's the one who's going to pay Doc Murphy for patching him up, and soon as the dog is strong, we'll drive him over your place. Why don't you let us keep him until then, in case he needs more care? Judd stands up and looks at me. I stare back, but I don't say nothing. And then Ma can't take it anymore. She says, Judd, Marty's got awful attached to the dog, and we'd like to know how much you want for it. Maybe we can scrape enough money to buy him. Judd looks at her like she's talking some kind of nonsense, like we're all crazy, getting crazier by the minute. That dog's not for sale, he says. Pay good money to get me a hunting dog, and he could be one of the best I've had. You want to keep and feed him till he's better? Okay with me. It's just that it's you that got him all torn up, and you paying the bill, but I want him back by Sunday. Screen door slams again. Truck starts up, and then he's gone.